Hello, and thank you so very much for joining me tonight. I go by Lune, but you know that. And today I'm creating for you, what you're watching here, is the Scorpio 2019 zodiac themed video that I create each month for Patreon. If you're watching this and you're not in Patreon, it's because this is the first month that I've decided to have this be a new release in Patreon and then offer it publicly on YouTube after, Patreon has had some time with it first. I'm not really on time this month in terms of the schedule I plan to keep, but it'll work out next month. But just to kind of have a little info there. So thank you to those of you in the Patreon community who are helping to create this video, to create all the videos that I make. Thank you so much. I'm so eternally grateful for that little beautiful nest over there. So thank you so much. And I look forward to communicating with you in the comments under this video on our page post. But let's just get into it. So essentially, if you've never seen one of these videos from me, the first half, more or less, not precisely, but the first half is a discussion. We talk about what we can expect, the collective energy to kind of be swimming in for whatever the season is. And we're about to enter Scorpio season, which is from October 23rd to November 20th. We have the first half to be a discussion. We talk about the elements of, in this case, Scorpio, the ruling planet, the house it's associated with, and just kind of like what's already present in the themes, we could say, that are already established. And then we move to pulling some cards. That's just Bamba being spooky. Sorry. All right, Bamba, spooking around. We move to pulling some cards to lend more of an intuitive approach to providing some guidance or just sharing what might be kind of a theme for the collective in general. But let me give you some information so you have it. Like I said, Scorpio season is from October 23rd to November 20th. In that time, we have a new moon in Scorpio, which is on the 23rd, and a full moon in Taurus, which is on November 12th. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later as well. A big thing going on as well for, sorry, I keep repeating myself. Oh, this is why Mercury Retrograde is coming. It's coming on October 31st and it's staying it's active until November 20th. So nearly for nearly the whole Scorpio season, we're going to be in Mercury Retrograde, which, you've probably seen the memes, you've probably seen the articles about this. And it's just that Mercury Retrograde is typically not something that a lot of people look forward to. Mercury Retrograde is a time period where things just get a little more sticky, a little more complicated. We have to go back over things a few times, specifically communication, internal stuff, like looking at what's our own development, essentially, retracing our steps. Things feel kind of stuck because the ruling planet of communication and magic and math and technology and occult sciences and all this stuff is essentially, from our perspective, moving backwards, which means we're not necessarily at a standstill in those areas, but they become more complicated because we have to go back over it. And this can bring issues with tech stuff, it can bring issues with communication, and it correlates to, of course, what season are we in. So being in Scorpio season, and Scorpio season is, love it or hate it, it's one of the darker seasons. It could be a bit much, Scorpio is emotional. It's raw. There's such a rawness to Scorpio energy that we're all going to feel anyway. The fact that we're going to be in Mercury retrograde during that as well is just ooh, hold on. I don't like to be I don't want to make it sound spooky and I don't want to make anyone feel disempowered, but if you're having a rough time, I'm sure you have your own unique things going on, but there's also just a collective theme that we're all going through. We're all tied into time. We're all part of swimming in the same current of time here. You know what I'm trying to say? So we feel things a lot, the same, themes will come up for a lot of people at the same time, and that just might be part of it. So if you're doing the work And what that means is if you're like honestly looking at yourself, if you're honestly taking stock, if you're truly allowing yourself to be guided by yourself, like your inner sovereignty of like right and wrong and like what is right for you and all this stuff, then you're doing the work, like congratulations, you probably aren't going to get hit too hard. But regardless, because Scorpio is a sign of transformation, of death and rebirth, of emotions, again, like raw emotions and like really intense passions. Like passions can be an amazing thing, but it can also be a really, like, there's a dark side to it too, right? Like typically like the romantic relationships that we have, like the passionate ones are like amazing in like some ways, but the arguments are like equally as passionate, like you kind of like get it from both sides kind of thing. So Mercury retrograde during this like very raw period, during this period of like mystery, Scorpio is very much about like mysterious and like a little bit like keeping things secret, perhaps we could say. Inner shadow, like shadow work comes up. Inner impulses, like quick reactions to like emotional upsets, all of this going on with Mercury retrograde is just like, it might be like a really, again, right, like I'm not trying to disempower anybody, it might just be like a difficult time. So it's just something we can ask for, like what can we do to navigate that from a more comfortable perspective, I guess we could say. All right, so essentially, Scorpio rules the 8th house, and like I already touched on, that house has to do with birth, death, sex, transformation, mystery, rawness, bonding, the unifying of energies. And I literally like pulled those words off of like the top Google search that I came up with just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And one of the ones that I'm glad that I did that was because one of the things that it mentioned there was like the unifying of energies, and that's exactly what it feels like. Like when energies unite, the highest form of Scorpio has this transformational process, and that's also can be looked at as like a wholeness, like a unifying of energies, like a couple coming together or someone balancing their own inner energy, for example, or balancing something within themselves and having it seen outside. But it's the theme, the words that I have written down here are like crash, collision, and merge. Like it feels like that is a big piece of what we might experience. Like it can feel smooth, like we're all merging and we're doing the zipper thing and we're all kind of just like going into our lane or whatever, or moving on or getting in line, let's say. But it can also feel like a crash, like a collision. So it's just worth being real about and like knowing what you might expect. I'm not trying to be like a downer, right? Some of the other things that Scorpio brings up is more of a risk-taking quality. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, which again is a transformative planet in general, but it's also ruled by Mars, which is fiery, which is a bit like hot, a bit quick, so combine the watery element of Scorpio in general, the emotional element of Scorpio, as it is like a water sign, paired with the fire of Mars, and then paired with the transformational energy of Pluto. It's just like a mix, like there's definitely a mix going on. My partner has like double Scorpio placements. So, I have like some direct knowledge of like what it's like to like get in the head of a Scorpio. And, bottom line is like they're sensitive too, and it's a sensitive energy. So we might all feel hypersensitive and like ooey gooey on the inside, but we might find ourselves in this kind of like, there's a stinger, like there's like venom, there's like this sneaky kind of energy to it. Like, I think I heard Sage Goddess talk about it once where she's like, a crab, like you see the crab coming, but a Scorpio is sneaky. It's gonna like sneak up behind you and sting you. And that's like a really good way to put it, It does, like it comes out of left field when Scorpio energy hits, it's like, whoa, geez, like clever girl, All right, so I think it's just the wrong time before. I'm sorry, I will have changed it and giving you a little pop-up there. But the new moon is actually on October 28th. That was just my own handwriting that messed me up. And being in Scorpio, it's a good time for working with intentions that have to do with Scorpio. Essentially, this one, I think it's hard for me to share what I would do in your shoes because I don't even know what I'm going to do for it yet. I think that this one is going to be very personal. I think that as long as it has to do with you and your development, you're gonna like you're in touch with the energy, you're in the current of like the energetic flow that will be kind of happening around that time. So as long as it's about you, as long as it's about your transformation or transforming some aspect of your life, you know, you're good there. And then for Taurus, full moon on November 12th, a great time for directing that energy towards comfort, towards stability in your life, towards transforming to create stability in your life, perhaps, or something like that. I think that that is the day that we will do the Reiki live stream. So that will be November 12th. I'll have to check what day of the week that is, or I'll put it up here for you. But those are the basic themes. You know, this is a great time for shadow work. This is a great time for connecting with ancestors or the spirit world if you're into it. That's not really something that I do. You know, I don't personally practice that, so I'm not the best teacher for that, or I'm not the best like place of information. But what I do is just kind of honor the fact that I do have a presence with me that I do believe in, and I don't really have this strong thing with my guides where I work with them all the time. It kind of comes in waves for me. I work a lot with my healer guides, or I'll work with the archangels in general, like the 4 archangels during meditation, or when I really need some help or I'm processing something big. So I would encourage anyone who feels called to connect in that way. Like if you don't have a way of connecting with your guides, I'm saying, or there's nothing that really speaks to you specifically for that or comes to mind, instead working perhaps with the archangels to support processing how much, you know, it's inevitable that we're all going to be processing over this time period. You know, that's just a tool that I plan to use, and I'm planning to include that in the video, that the ASMR like by proxy Reiki session part. Sorry, I'm so sorry that my words are like barely coming out today. All right, so let's pull some cards and get a little reading, a little info. Just going to set an intention on behalf of your and mine and everyone else to get some insight, a helpful word. I'm asking for the cards to trigger an internal dialogue, an internal communication with my subconscious, so I can provide hopefully the most supportive messages to those who resonate. All right, and I'm just going to change the angle for you, and we'll get back to this. Cards. All right, so I'm going to do it upside down for me, but straight up for you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I like doing a bunch. Alright, so we have the Lovers face up. We have the 7 of Pentacles. We have the 7 of Swords in reverse. The King of Swords. The 10 of Swords. The 6 of Cups and the King of Wands. So let's start over here. The Lovers is about unison, it's about the masculine and feminine divine, or being seen, being witnessed by our counterpart, or again within ourselves. So this is definitely a really beautiful card, obviously, right? Let me zoom you in a little. And I think this speaks of like the potential, if we start here, if we start with this in mind, if we start with harmony, if we start with respect, if we start with witnessing one another, holding space for one another, and just like a really authentic kind of unconditional love, it's a good place to start with all this stuff, for this season. We have the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, which, speaks of loss. And the eighth house speaks of loss as well, potentially. And it's not so much loss of something that belongs to you, but potentially loss of something bigger, something shared. So what this seems to be talking about is in your inner harmony and the harmony that your relationships create, perhaps for some of you, and or may face some kind of needing to give up something material, needing to let go of something to clear space, and it might not be the most comfortable thing to do. But this is an opportunity, because you're making space, to work with it in that way. Like when I have a really bad day, or I have a day where I need to cry it out, or I'm just like in a kind of uncomfortable state, I think of how this is benefiting me in the long run, because essentially what it's doing is helping me to have rhythm in my life and have movement, and that movement can't only go in one direction, it swims both. So even though it might feel like a loss to you, even though it might feel like a sacrifice, or that you put so much work into something and you feel like you don't have anything to show with it, it's okay, like validate those feelings, but let's move on, like let's see what else we can do. All right, so here, the Seven of Swords in reverse. This is potentially letting us know that our intuition might be super high. Our intuition might be very much feeling like it's communicating with us heavily. We might be seeing all the angel numbers, like all the 555s, all the 444s, all the 3. And we might have some kind, and like, don't get me wrong, like those are valid in certain ways. Like I'm not trying to speak down about that. But there is a possibility of being too guided by your emotions, or relying on your emotions. There goes the air conditioning, sorry. I was hoping it wouldn't come on. But essentially, it is possible to navigate from a place that is ungroundedly navigating from our intuition. We can think like, oh, no, like I'm being guided, and not take additionally like the practical steps that we might need. So we end up getting caught on a lot more stress down the road, or a lot more obstacles down the road. So this is just kind of guidance for, yes, like let your intuition guide you, don't get me wrong, but also check in with it, like check the map, like check the reality, like have a touchstone. All right, here we have the King of Swords. And this is about having your mental plane like precise, like really in control here, like really leveling up to this place of like supreme, the creator. Like what I say is like, I want to build this, that's what I'm going to do. I want to change this, that's what I'm going to do. Like calling the shots like fully and justly, This is very much as well as someone who abides by and holds the laws, like the laws, the spiritual laws, the laws of the universe. I don't really care about the regular laws too much. I mean, like, in general, that's not what I'm focused on, right? Like, what's more important, what's bigger, what's a bigger right and wrong, let's say, goes into spiritual law as well. So in this position, this Libra kind of energy position, we can hold the field of right and wrong in terms of, am I using this energy of the atmosphere that's present? Am I using my experience to the best of my advantage? Am I working with the different laws, the different principles, or am I trying to fight them and go against, like an example of going against a law of the universe or a spiritual law is trying to override or overpower someone else's free will. Like, that is a natural law that, you know, we don't want to break, kind of thing. You know, it never ends up playing out well for us. So having an awareness of what that is, what those things are, being able to simply check in with yourself from a moral standpoint and doing the best that you can to navigate from that place will certainly carry you so much this month, this season. All right, and it looks like maybe a little later in the season, you know, who's to say? But the Ten of Swords is definitely a very uncomfortable card. I just want to be real, and I'm not trying to, again, paint a negative picture here. But this is telling us that there's so much potential for, like, just up all night. Like, this is what this face is. I know it's, like, scary looking, but, like, honestly, swords are thoughts. This is someone who is, like, tormented, tortured by their thoughts. Do we want to be that? Or do we want to be this? Like, look at the contrast here. Look at the choices that we have. This is our plane. This is our field. But if we let our mind carry us through in an unguided way, in a just, like, unrealistic or too sensitive, no, what's the word, like, just too empathetic, if there is such a thing, then we're not going to be able to take the high road, the higher path. It will be one of just, like, kind of mental chaos. And these all kind of have these little pairings of opportunities. All right, so then we have the Six of Cups, which is kind of similar to the Lovers. There's a similarity, but this one, there's a little bit more indifference. There's a little bit more like, oh, I got what I want and now I don't want it kind of vibe, you know, kind of like grass is greener or indifference. So it might be asking some of us to have a look at our romantic relationships or just our close relationships in general and see, like, maybe we're stressed and feel like it's not working out, or there's something we have to give up, there's something with change. Maybe that's coming up for some of us. But here, it's also kind of trying to call us out to say, like, well, if you got what you wanted, like, would you change your mind anyway? Or if you get what you want, are you still going to have the attitude? Like, what is it that's going to change how you're reacting to things? Really, you're the only one that can change that. So there might be a decision to be made here, or it might just be kind of like realizing that you're part of the dance too in that relationship. And then we have the King of Wands. And this card just makes me think of rushing things, trying to get things done hastily, which ends up getting sloppy or ends up coming off like too aggressive. You can create anything you want. You can have that, you know, it's a beautiful thing. No one wants to keep that from you. But don't be hasty. Don't be so quick that it's like, like aggressive in like a not enjoyable way. All right, so let's just ask for a little more guidance here, because it's nice to know what's coming up, but from a higher path now, what can we do to take this on, and what can we bring into our life while we're taking these things on? So what is the suggestion? Okay, and again, I'm going to do it right side up for you, upside down for me. Okay, so we have the Princess of Wands, which is funny. So it is about taking your time a little. This is where we left off, right? The Princess of Wands is like, you can take it from a more humble approach and be just as excited to create, but in a more playful way, in a way that has like a more youthful energy to it, a more casual energy to it. So let's bring in a little casual to our creative endeavors. Here we have the Two of Swords in reverse. This makes me think of, just taking things, not entertaining too much, like not overdoing the, like how many spinning discs are going around in your head, It's just asking you to kind of have a conversation with yourself. The prayer card came up in the recent YouTube video that I did, and it's a little bit of that, like instead of talking outward to the beyond external, as prayer does, prayer is communication with that which is beyond us. The communication should be internal, like having a talk with yourself, And then the next one, the Tower in reverse. So it will be time to rebuild. Think about when you're going to rebuild it, Whatever's going to crumble is going to crumble. Whatever needs to be let go of will be let go of. It's going to sting at first. It has potential to sting at first. But it's a great opportunity for all of these resources to start over, to do it again in a different way, or just to do it again. Very eternal spotlight, eternal sunshine. Lord have mercy. I cannot communicate in the shadow of Mercury Retrograde. I'm so sorry, guys, but very eternal sunshine here. If you haven't seen that movie, it'd be a great one to watch. It's so good. All right. So I'm just going to show you some of the stones that I'm going to be bringing into our session. One that I would recommend for this time is, excuse me. Oh yeah, that didn't work at all. Is black kyanite. It's very cleansing. I love this stone, this mineral. It really holds the field, I believe. I think it's great to have 4 of these and place them in the corners either of your room or the corners of your altar, or even the corner of a shelf, and that shelf representing your whole house or your whole property or your room. So black kyanite would be a great one. It very much transmutes energy. It's not like it's just stashing the negative. It's like really cleansing and kind of purifying it, if I can put it that way, distilling it. A Selenite Wand. I think selenite works very well with Scorpio energy. It's lunar, it's intense, like in a way, like it has a bit of a buzziness to it. So we'll be utilizing this as well. A fossil that's been kind of like, what do you call it, like agaticized. Little crystals in there. This is just to work with our lineage, our history, our blood, our families, our earth experience. Let me just move this over here. So it's really beautiful, very shiny. I forget all the minerals in this, but it's definitely got some epitope, chrome dioptase, and I want to say garnet, like green garnet. It's very supportive for that heart connection, and it just has this otherworldly energy to it, to me, that I think supports Scorpio energy very nicely. But it's still loving and like richly, what's the word, like kind of like fertility, for all the transformation, like the nutrients, like take your vitamin kind of thing. I don't know. Sometimes my associations are kind of weird. And then this clear quartz, which has a little arm on it. And if you ever have quartz pieces, or any really, that have like this one's a bit traumatic, but a little bump on it, you can sometimes use this as a trigger. So we're going to use this as an example for how we can use a trigger to intend to switch our vibe, to switch our vibration. And then this big mama. This is probably the most expensive crystal that I own. I just got it. It's a stunning amethyst. Like, look at this thing. It's like bigger than my arm almost. It's as long as my forearm. It's really beautiful, gemmy color, like gemmy purple. Let me see if I could do this right. Sorry. It looks like the dark crystal. This was like almost $400. I know. But I really, like, I was lurking on it for so long. Like, I really had my eyes open because I just very called to work with this. Very powerful. So amethyst will be going in as well to our session. All right, so I hope that this information is just helpful for you through the month in general. You know, like I'm really, it's really hard for me to come from a place of like, ooh, batten down the hatches, but like, you know what, it's best to be prepared. It's just a lot of transformation, a lot of shift has been happening for all of us, a lot of change in our life, a lot of change within us. And I don't know about you, but it feels like it's kind of like bottlenecking at this point where things are coming to a head, things are demanding our attention, they're demanding us to change them. And sometimes that's really easy. A lot of times it's not though, you know? So more than anything, what I want to share, even though I hope it's not coming off all like doom and gloom, but is the support, you know, is the concept of like, we're all kind of going through it. And this is a good space if you ever need to come and get some kind of message or energy session to help you through it. You know, if you're having a rough night, or any other resource, getting into books, doing things for yourself, journaling would be a really good one for the energy of Scorpio for sure. And like, let it just come out, you know, like let things keep flowing. Don't hold it all in, because Scorpio energy has a tendency to hold things in a little because they don't want to show their cards, but then it like all blows up and it just again can come off like very aggressive. And I'm not saying that Scorpio people are, I just mean like in general, like the energy can bring that out, you know. I have to say that very clearly because it's easy to be like, oh, you're saying something bad about Scorpios, and it's like, no, like Scorpios are great. I'm just saying like potentially the negative that we experience could feel like this, plus it's Mercury retrograde. So let's just do it the best that we can. Let's just like be prepared, you know? All right, so I'm just gonna move some stuff around my room here and set up for our session. And I hope that you enjoy. All right, see you soon. All right, so welcome back. So we're gonna start, of course, with our candle, set our intentions. This one is like a baked bread, really comfy kind of smell. I'm gonna use one of the few I found. These matches. Candle. We're going to use this little incense. I have a cute little shell here to show you. I'll put this down for a sec. I think I showed you this already, but I found this cute little shell on the beach. It's really special. Alright. Just gonna weave the smoke to you really gently. A little offering. A little energy cleanse. It smells really nice, like sandalwood. So if you'd like to have a look at this candle, we'll set our intention. So, on behalf of your and my and everyone else's highest and greatest good and perfect comfort and alignment, our session today is to support the collective through this Scorpio season, through this Mercury Retrograde, through this time of transformation. To make it as comfortable as possible, to make it as effortless as possible, to nurture on those rough days. To remind us that there are energies beyond what we can see, to tap into. So we're going to call in the archangels to support us during this time. Alright. And I'm actually going to use this incense. Packaging ceremony. To guide our inner energy into a place of balance. It's almost like this distillation we talked about in the shadow work video, and how, we can do shadow work, but we can also do it from a place of distillation, as in processing the components of both our light and our dark, let's say, our shadow and our light, our yin and our yang, our feminine and our masculine, whatever, however you want to look at polar energy within you. however you choose to work with polar energies within yourself. And our ceremony here is to support that balance and the process of purifying. And I hate that word because I think it sounds like, I don't like it, but what I mean is processing. Taking the cream, like processing, taking the best of both into these higher realms of what they are. So the higher facets of the shadow and the higher facets of the light. Distilling. And that's led through our moral compass, we could say. Talked about how the shadow is perspective based. Right. So I just wanted to take a little pinch. Anyone else like lid sounds? I really do. Here's another one. So, I forgot to mention this in the previous part of the video, but as Scorpio is a water sign, and water is represented as a tool in the vessel, I would encourage you to find some kind of vessel. And if you're open to it for the new moon, write down your intentions and put them into a vessel that you've created, as if the vessel itself is this magic container that whatever you put inside of it comes true. Or whatever you put inside of it becomes healed. Or whatever you put inside it, perhaps as a strength, is called into your being. It could be herbs, it could be papers, it could be flowers. You could enchant your stones, your jewelry. You can meditate and see yourself crawling inside. Here she is. Isn't it gorgeous? You can see the color, maybe not. It's so dark. It's so dense, I mean. It's so pretty. need like a flashlight to show you. I'm sure many of you have seen the dark crystal, and this is probably exactly what you'll think of when you see this. But if you haven't seen it, it's a really good movie. They just did a series on Netflix, kind of like a prequel. Right. So, let's just give you an idea. Little gray down here, mostly this grapey purple up at the top. Scorpio energy is very powerful, but I do see it sometimes spreading itself in different directions, so it's not as concentrated. So I thought that the point amethyst would be great for directing that power, that energy, that intensity, that raw intensity and passion, but loading it up and aiming it towards something with intention to develop, and not just kind of like spreading itself too thin. I should say too, we should never aim at a person, but something for ourselves. Something of creation, that wand we saw. So there's that. The black kyanite I showed you. This is just such a good one, like a must-have, I would say, for my collection, my work, spiritual work and stuff. It feels really good in your hand. Not so much because it's smooth, because it's certainly not smooth, but it just really, especially in the right hand for me, I just feel a pull, like a release. These are great to put your jewelry on. The little fossil. for our ancestors, for our path here, for our history here, for the steps we're kind of, looks like a spiral staircase, you know, we kind of have to go back down a little, retrace our steps over Mercury Retrograde. This combination of epidote, green and garnet, and chrome diopside. Excuse me. And I've shown you this before, and I think it just looks like this little floating island. Right? Little cloud island. And there's a lot of possibility here. A lot of transformative energy. It's very heart-based. It's dark though. A little goth, you know, a little gothy. But I liked it for the innocence that I find in Scorpio as well. The childlike nature. You know, they're very mature, but also very childlike. The energy, I mean, not just the people. And we're all going to be dealing with that. So it'd be nice to have our own little island to retreat to, whether that's in our mind, through our dream work. But it just seemed like it wanted to come out. It's so pretty. I don't know if you can see. Here's a good example. See the formations, the record keepers on some of these triangle faces? Let's see if I can find another one. Probably not, just because. Really special. Right. Then this little Selenite wand, which is so cute. You could actually, like, if you had a big wallet, you could keep it in your wallet or your planner or something. It's like the size of a pencil. And I love these for that super connection, that direct line, for cleansing the energetic field, for going right in 2 points and allowing release, cleansing, like a little cotton swab. Just a good tool for this season. And if you don't have anything like this, just salt bath, salt scrub. Even just like a salt lamp, or having some salt in a, like chunky salt in a bowl, you know, like whatever feels good. And last but not least, this really gorgeous clear quartz. It's very clear, like water clear, has really gorgeous etchings on it. And it's a bit dramatic, but it does have this little trigger. So if you go through your stones, if you have any, or anything like a coin or a little pendant or a button, you know, it doesn't have to be like this. But these are called triggers sometimes, like a little piece of of crystal sticking out, and you're meant to kind of just gently push on it or play with it however you like. I push on it just like that and set an intention with setting an intention to shift my move or to shift a reality of some kind that's out there, as you know, that gets but just changing something, like, oh wait, let me reset, or let me get back and connect with an intentional feeling or vibration that I already asked the stone to do. So something like comfort, something like support and alignment for navigating some potentially choppy waters or challenging experiences easily, like refocus, recenter, connect again with love. What was my intention here? And just like kind of bring you back or shift gears, you could say, in general. So if there's anything that you have like this, it doesn't have to be crystal, but it can be very helpful as a visual, physical, tangible button to press, you know, or a little anchor for yourself. I like this one. So, as we get in, I'd like to first use a little spray, or maybe not first, but as we get started. This is from Lord, I'm just messing it up. But it's an eclipse spray, which is very transformative. Has the Cancerian energy in it, so the fellow water sign. A little more chill, just bringing a little bit of a chill vibe. Cancer energy is pretty intense too, but I think that Cancer does a better job sometimes of like taking a more diplomatic approach, if that makes sense, than Scorpio energy makes us feel called to. It'd be helpful to look up what planets you have in Scorpio for yourself in your own chart. I think I have Jupiter in Scorpio. Right? So I'm going to use this to your back, to your front, to your right, to your left, above you, and below you. And a little on my hands. Right, we're just going to connect with our intention again to support the collective during this time of great change, of great shift, of things quite literally shifting in our reality, shifting in our day-to-day, in our relationships, forming new dynamics. I'm going to bring in a calm energy that we can connect with at any time. I don't want to fight the current. I don't want to go against Scorpio's raw passion, but I do want to just leave it here, you know, a little calm for when we need it. Everything can feel very intense at this time too, so I want to connect with almost this like energetic calamine lotion, you know, just like soothe the burn, soothe the itch, the rawness, the you know, like the feeling like you want to crawl out of your shell in an itchy way, or snakeskin kind of situation, shedding situation. Sorry for that noise. It'll stop in a second. It's just the house noise. So just focusing on comfort, on soothing the waters, just so we can see, so we can navigate, so we can direct. I'm going to use another spray. This is the Moon Magic Spray, the Atmosphere Mist. I'm just going to spray my hand. Like a cinnamon smell. Just want to get it really in my fingers. Just really comb through, connecting with those inner passions, those inner intensities, those hot spots. Just like guide them a little more in a direct way, in a way with more purpose, in a way that doesn't get in our way for what we're trying to do, and instead only amplifies our ability to do what we want to do. You know what I mean? Like the drama, the insecurity, the sensitivity. It's part of life, but it can also be something that gets in our way. So I just want to like direct them, like let it come through in a way that is supportive, that is beneficial, that is helpful to your overall goals and what you're looking to create. Pull it together so it's more of a target and not these like spurts. But pay attention to the spurts as well. They are telling us something, you know. So just want to focus on the third eye. That intuition, because it probably is very heightened, and I don't mean to ever unheighten it, you know. I like it that way too. I like being intuitive. I like tapping into some cool shit, you know. But the thing here is that we just want to make sure we are connected to logic, that we are grounded, that it's not entirely led through here. Not in a way that like you're being totally guided by this. You should be guided by your heart, not just this. This is helpful, but it can be something that begins up being not helpful because it can take us away and on a different kind of journey almost. So we want to just ground, balance, harmonize, unify that empathetic nature, those astral senses to the body senses, to the facts, to reality. Because you want to tap into this so that you can work with your reality, right? So we want them connected. got like an image of almost like an alchemist setup, you know, like the books, the bookcase, the space where they do their great work, their lab. I'm sorry that this is so dark because I really want you to see it, but I guess you got a little glimpse. So we want to connect with that focus that we talked about. Call it all through and direct. And it's okay if we don't know right now where it's going or what it is. If you do know, cool, please focus on that. But set an intention to allow your energy, your passion, this very intense energy that you'll no doubt experience at least at some point over this month. Allow it to catch the current and align with the direction of what you're actually trying to create and what you know serves you. Alright, so just look at this point if you're able. And see it like you channeling it outward through everything falling in line. Right? I'm going to use it like a big guide back in those two spaces we were just working in to really activate these spots, but most importantly, activate them in a way that is harmonious with each other and not in conflict. I think I'll keep the focus like this. Just place my hands on my heart for a moment. And I see you in all your strength, all your abilities, collecting all your lessons, applying them, transforming, knowing it's okay to crumble so that you can rebuild, so that you can rise, so that it can be better and stronger and even more perfectly fit for you and your experience. Feel a lot of feline energy, a lot of cat energy. Just channeling through the body, down, and this like capsule that your energy just kind of contains itself in. Just support, clarity, focus, and a reminder that you have helpers, you have energies you can work with, other forms that are already empowered, like sacred geometry or colors or mantras or yantras or crystals or archangels. And I'll share, I was definitely not an archangel, didn't come naturally to me to work with archangels, but I've had some really amazing experiences. Alright, so what we're going to do, if you're open to it, if you're not open to it, that's okay, we would never force anything. We're going to focus on just calling in the archangels, calling in the elements, and calling them in for the purpose of the support over this season to lift weights that we might be carrying, to provide clarity, to provide sense, to allow us to understand what is being communicated around us and move in ways that serves us, you know? So we're going to start with the east. So it's this way for me. All right. Again, just centering myself, connecting with the earth below me, connecting with, in this case, the east, the air, and focusing on calling in now Archangel Gabriel. Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel. We call on you to support us through this period of great transformation, of personal shift, of death and rebirth. As we unlock the mysteries within us, please support our mental processing of all of this so that we might just be the most in alignment and most supported with ourselves through the experience. Alright, I'm going to face this way. I hope it's okay. And I call in Archangel Uriel to the south. Archangel Uriel, Archangel Uriel, Archangel Uriel. We ask you to provide support, to get it done, to make it happen, to make it clear, to make it precise, to make it on the level that we know we're trying to get to, that next level that we just feel so close to. We're just like, it's just like a peeling off like dead skin at this point, like a sunburn or a peel. And underneath, we know that glow, that health, that vitality is right there. We're just shedding a little, so we ask for the support from Archangel Uriel as well. Right to the west, in water element, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Raphael. We call on you to support our healing, our sense of humor, our focus, and focus on ourselves and our growth and taking responsibility through our healing process. And we just ask for that support to lend a hand, literally or figuratively, while we sleep, while we process, while we heal. And then to the north, we call on Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael, Archangel Michael. We ask for protection. We ask for strength. We ask for your sword to come through and cut away what we're ready to release. Help us make that cut. Help us with our psychic surgeries. Help us with our processing. Help us release this weight. All right. And you can do that anytime. You just call them in and then you wait. So you just listen, you rest, you listen, you try not to fall asleep, and you'll feel a kind of energy shift as they each approach. And from my experience, they kind of come in one at a time. So usually it's Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael, and Michael coming in, and you'll maybe in one part you'll feel something going on, in another you'll start thinking about something and things seem clear, or you might have some kind of inspiration, or you might feel a weight lifted. It's all very different for all of us, but those are some things I've definitely experienced. They relieve fear. It's really helpful for validating, but then releasing any fear, insecurity. We don't need that. Let's make some space. Alright, I'm just going to use a little more of that moon spray. This one, the eclipse spray. We're just going to pat it in. So it's just here in your etheric field waiting for you. And as you release something, it just sucks right in. This like layer, kind of like a membrane, you know, kind of like a healthy, nutritious membrane. Like you picture a caterpillar in the shell and they kind of like eat the shell as they're coming out. So it's just like literally right there for you. As you're growing, as you're releasing, just allow yourself to receive. Allow yourself to suck it in. That sounds terrible, I'm sorry, but to receive, to have it fill your energy field and fill in the gaps, if I can say it that way. Because as you're releasing, you should replace. And I don't mean if you create some free time for yourself that you have to run and replace it with something, but I just mean from an energy worker perspective, we never want to take out without putting something else beneficial and supportive in. Alright, so this is just here for you. Seeing a lot of like masculine energy. Maybe it's all of the majority of us are masculine sides, which will undergo this transformation first, perhaps. Who's to say? I don't want to put that out there too much, but it could be something like that. Right. Okay. Just gonna fluff up the aura. Kind of just called to share, like, have some favorite movies ready to go, like Totoro and Ponyo, and like, I can't remember the name of that director, I'm sure one of you will. But like, I love those anime movies and they make me feel so like taken care of, you know, so something that you find comforting, your comfy foods, music, emotional music maybe, but just like have everything on hand. Like if you know you have a comfort food, just like remember to pick it up for yourself so you have it. If you know you love a bowl of cereal before bed when you feel crappy, like do it, you know. Give yourself a little bit of, hold yourself to a maturity while still treating yourself with like care, like you would a child, you know. It's like, it's both. It doesn't have to be one or the other, it's both. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this little session today. I hope you found something useful. Thank you so much, patrons. Like, thank you so much for being in this community. I love you. I love chatting with you. I love seeing you guys talk to each other. Like, thank you so much for just being there, you know. Thank you. And thank you to everyone else as well, of course. Thanks for all of this, you know. It's a treat for me, truly. So, I'll just say, from the bottom of my heart, I bow to the divine, the magic in you, the magic in me, the magic that we share.